Well, sunshine, we got the 455 Husky again. Latest iteration, we've cut 25 thousandths out of the bearing pockets, 25 thousandths off the base, 15 thousandths off the top of the piston end to leave a 15 thousandths pop up. We're running the iron horse pipe. For full disclosure, this is not the same cylinder this was ran with last time. I think I've already made a video on that. We scored it. We didn't, well, I guess we did. It was in my possession when it got scored. But all this stuff is in a playlist if you want to see each thing I've done to this saw and what the gains were. As soon as we get done with this, we'll get it on the dyno. It's got a brand new set of rings, so I'm going to cut up a little bit of wood here, put at least a tank full of gas through it, so it's not too terrible. We'll do a little bit of cutting video. I know they can get awful boring, or they can get awful annoying, depends on who's making the cutting video. I'll probably, once I start cutting, I'll probably throw one of my old made up goofy old songs in there just to try to keep you guys interest up while I'm making the video, and then we'll get her on dyno, and then we'll get some results. And forewarning, the song will probably be about 3 minutes, so if you want to skip by it once I start cutting and the song starts, you can just skip ahead 3 minutes if you don't want to chuckle. Let me get this thing warmed up and in the wood. 325 7-pin sprocket is semi-chisel, so it's not going to cut like a ball of fire. We don't expect it to. This is dead oak. That's dead walnut. I ain't trying to say my wood's better or worse, just telling you what it is. I was scrolling through the want ads on the Facebook Marketplace, and this classified advertisement caught my eye. Said to mediate delivery of this odd-colored knockoff power saw with seller swap for a good weed whacker and 13 bucks. Call anytime between noon and 2, leave a message and ask for Bob. Well, I called Bob up on the telephone. He said, "Hello, this is Bob speaking." I says, "This here Bob got the power saw up for sale?" He says, "Yeah." I says, "Where are you?" He says, 14 East on County 12, turn right on the one-lane gravel road, and you can park in the yard, beware of the possum, wipe your feet off, knock 3 times, and bring your billfold. Well, I tooled on East on County 12, turned right on the one-lane gravel road, and parked in the yard, and a big old possum come out and grabbed onto my neck. I knocked 3 times, wiped my feet, possum let go, and the screen door opened. Bob come out and says, "What do you want?" Says, "Come see your saw." He says, "Follow me." "Come on, Frank." The possum's name is Frank. Well, we all went past the outhouse, through the hog pen, down beside the woodshed, and wound up back of the barn a field of treetops. And sitting right there in a pile of bark was a blue Chinese power saw with a side cover sticker says Neotech, with a homemade cobbled up muffler mod and a Ziploc bag full of rusty chains. And Bob says, "What do you think?" Well, I picked it up and rolled it over, and the recoil fell right off on the ground. Found a bunch of field mice living in the air filter. He said her bar is bent and the seal's all leaked. She runs just fine most of the time. Use a bootlace starter, I broke the rope. Pay no attention to that slipping sound. She used a little oil, but outside of that, she's cherry. I said, what do you take? He said, well, you got it. Said $7.18. Says, you got a deal. Stay here. I'll go get some ether and a can full of mix. I wrapped the lace, give it a yank. She coughed and belched up a bunch of smoke, cut right through the picnic table and into a chair. Frank jumped up and bit my ear, and I beat him off with a bar wrench. He climbed back down, the bar fell off, and the chain broke right in two. I picked it up and fixed the chain, and Frank tore a piece of my shirt off. Bob come out and called him off, said, you better get on out of here. I went left on a one-lane gravel road, went 14 west on County 12, takes a quart of 40 weight oil for a gallon of gas just to get her to make compression. I headed straight for Sawfest parking lot, and the King of the Wild thing come over to take a look. He said, I've seen better stuff at a junkyard. Where'd you ever get that saw? I said, that's a long story, Mr. Cox. I was strolling through the want ads in the Facebook marketplace when this classified advertisement caught my eye. It said, take immediate delivery of sod-coated knockoff power saw with seller swap for a good weed whacker and $13. Call any old time between noon and 2 with a message. Well, let's go in. Finally got my side cover for it today. That's why I was able to do a test cut. I never had a side cover for this saw. So we got a side cover. Let's go pull the clutch off of it, put the 3/8 sprocket on it, and get her on dyno. We're done screwing around here. It's cold and nasty out here. Muddy too.
Guys, welcome back. Got some dyno charts here for you on the computer. We're just going to do just dyno this time. We're not going to do fuel consumption, all that. Pretty simple. What we've got is 455 Husky, of course, with 25,000 soft bearing pockets in the base. We wound up at 3.85 horsepower, 2.68 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty good gain, wasn't it? Previous iteration of this. Now, guys, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it one more time. This is not the exact same aftermarket cylinder that this previous run was taken. If you've seen the video, it was actually a poor casting and some sand come in a casting pock in it, whatever you want to call that, and scored a cylinder. So this is just the best I can do. But I got another aftermarket cylinder, and I was cautious of that the next time. So I assume they're similar. Same place off Amazon, just cheapest junk I can buy. But we went from 3.41 horsepower up to 3.85. And if you only look at that, that's still a good gain. That's 0.44 horsepower, right? Yeah, 0.44 horsepower. And our foot-pound's 2.48, 2.68. So 0.2 of a foot-pound of torque. That's a pretty good gain. But look where we stretched out on the RPMs. Yeah, excuse me. The other one couldn't overcome just the static load of my dyno. At 11,000, that's about where it whittled out at. Now, actually, I could stretch this out a little bit. It made it a little past 12.5, but it wasn't picking nothing up until we got to, it started having a big increase at about 11,000. And if you'll look at 11,000, we are about, each one of these horizontal lines is a quarter horsepower apart. And you can see if you look straight up, we gained about 3/4 of a horse right here. Right here, we're up to almost full horsepower gain at around 10,500. So that's a pretty big gain. The peak horsepower to peak horsepower, which is kind of what everybody wants to know. It's the easiest thing to say, but on a chart, you can see where my peak horsepower was at, which was right in here around 9250, which is where this saw's ported at, because I never changed anything yet. We're still there, and we still gained, we'll call it a half horse right there. Well, we already did, didn't we? We called it 0.44 horsepower. So, but we gained a lot more than that, higher up than that, and I think some porting will enhance that some, but we haven't done that. We're kind of going one step at a time. A little bit. We done the muffler mod, and now we've cut the base, and that's the only thing that's different from stock on this cylinder. Now, of course, this previous iteration, the red line, was with the muffler mod, the iron horse pipe. So, I'll try to remember always, it's always a good thing to go back and look where we come from. I've got all three lines in there. It's getting a little bit busy, but what you want to look at basically is the green line was the stock cylinder, no mods. And we've gained so much across the board on that. You can see what the iron horse pipe did it. Here, the red line, that's what the iron horse pipe did for it. And that was on the same cylinder. The blue line's the new cylinder taken off from where I left off on the ruined cylinder that's in the red line. So from stock was at 3 horsepower, but I was around 8,500 RPMs was the peak, and now we've shifted the peak up a little bit, and that was due to the pipe, and I'm sure the compression had something to do with that. But we went, so now we're from 3 horsepower to 3.85 horsepower. That's a little over a 25% gain. If my quick head math's right, 25% gain would be 3.75 horsepower. So that's pretty smoking for just doing 2 little old things: iron horse pipe and cutting the base on the cylinder. We want to get into some next steps and see what we're going to do next. And even some of the stuff I did on that other saw is putting the intake block on there and things like that. We may try it again on this saw. But there's where we're at, guys. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed her, give her the old hitchhiker. If you didn't, mash the old Julius Caesar. Get in there and leave me a comment. I enjoy the heck out of those. They make my day. They put a smile on my beak. So, guys, appreciate it. Come back and see me.